Okay, hello, students. We just arrived from Hong Kong, Professor Kim Keongtae. I'm going to introduce briefly his biography for you, and then stage goes to you. And this seminar is going to be last 2 hours. So please turn on your video for him, and we can be able to interact with each other. Okay, that's much active and helpful each other. So, okay, today, Professor Kim, from here, okay, uh, from byte to bit, okay, from byte to bit, examining online offline spillover impacts of online food delivery platform subscription. Wow, food delivery platform is functionally can be MIS and IS research, but the domain can be ours. Okay,
Yeah, that's why I chose this paper to present.
okay, great. Dr. Kim, a professor of information system, IS, at CUHK, probably China University, Hong Kong Business School,
Yeah, Chinese University of Hong Kong. Yeah.
where he served as associate director of Master Degree Science, Master of Science in Information Technology Management program. He received his PhD in Information System from University of Maryland, and his research focus on economics of digital economy, blockchain, fintech, artificial intelligence. His work has been published in leading journals such as MIS Quarterly, uh, which is the top ranked journal in business field, especially information systems, and information systems research, another top tier journal in MIS, and production and operation management, which is another top journal in the operation management. He has received numerous awards, including Association of Information Systems Early Career Award and Informs Information Systems. Uh, what is this? Okay, Sandy Slaughter Early Career Award has been nominated multiple times for ISIS and Informs Best Paper Award. ISIS and Informs is known for top tier conference in MIS, which is very prestigious conference. And okay, today, Professor Kim, stage for you, and you can control your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you for inviting me, okay, to this seminar. Okay, so I'm very pleased to share my research with you today. So, like Professor Gu said, so today I'm want to present my work on online food delivery markets. Okay, so, and I'm particularly look at how then subscription launched by online food delivery markets affects consumers like consumption of online food delivery, food delivered foods, and offline dining visits. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, good. Please make a larger slide.
Yeah.
Good, very good.
Okay,
Thank
so now, so this is a joint work, okay, so with four co-authors. So Jae Myung, I think he recently graduated from the KAIST Business School, and he's now working for Hanyang University in Ansan, right, so in Ansan campus. And Yongjin Park is another co-author who is working at City University of Hong Kong. And Joe is my postdoc. Okay, so he's a British, but he had a PhD at Sungkyunkwan University and now working as my postdoc at China, at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And Jae Yonan is a professor at the KAIST Business School. Okay, So I guess like many of you, like especially if you are in 20s and 30s, I guess like you are, I mean, in your daily lives, right? You are using this platform, right? So online food delivery platform. Now I'm going to call it OFD. So in Korea, I guess Baemin, okay, 배달의민족 is the most popular OFD platform, and followed by Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, but then in China, so Hong Kong is part of China. Then China, we have the Meituan. Meituan has a lot of, I mean, it's a kind of the huge like a set of like number of consumers because given the size of China, right? So Meituan is huge, okay. But in the Western worlds, in the United States, now we have like a DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub, like us. And as you can see here, like now, like so, web platforms are part of many people's daily lives because now, I mean, we instead of actually visiting like nearby restaurants, many people prefer like just getting like a delivered foods through these platforms, right? So according to the statistics, okay, so then in as of last year, okay, so number of people who are using OFT platforms exceeded 2 billion users. So you can see that this kind of platform is part of our daily life, okay? So then now many platforms, online platform, including OFD platforms, now I mean, they are using bunch of different strategy to attract more consumers into their platforms. But one of their strategy is to launch a subscription-based like a service. Okay. Now, if you subscribe to Netflix, right? So if you pay, I don't know how much you pay in your country, but in Hong Kong, yeah, actually, I don't know. But in Hong Kong, I'm subscribed to Netflix, then I'm paying, I guess, maybe around like a 10 US dollars. So then, like, now then I can watch like all the movies at any time from anywhere, right? By subscribing to this Netflix service. But now, if you subscribe to Dropbox, you also enjoy I mean, a certain amount of like a data storage provided by Dropbox. Okay, and if you are now using like subscribe to ChatGPT or other like Gen AI tools, then again you can use a certain amount of like services provided by these those services, right? But you have to. This is subscription based. That means that you have to pay a monthly fee upfront, and then then in that month you can use like whatever you want to use from the platform. Okay. So then like a OFD platform, another exception, right? So then many OFD platforms now they launch their own subscription-based services, right? So in the United States, okay, so DoorDash was the first OFD platform who launched this like a subscription-based service in 2018, followed by Uber Eats in 2019 and Grubhub in 2020. Okay, and if you look at this kind of the market share, kind of the graphs, then I mean I do not want to claim that I mean the increasing
Mhm.
like a share of DoorDash is because of this launch of the subscription based service. Maybe not, right? But I can see, but I mean, this launch of subscription based service might be one of the factors why like DoorDash now is doing pretty good recently. Okay. So, but then these OFD platforms are very different from like other platforms like a Netflix. Okay, if you think about Netflix, okay, so like, again, if you subscribe to Netflix, then I mean you can watch like any contents on Netflix anytime. And this is a digital good, so it doesn't matter where you consume. There's a Netflix movies and TV shows and essentially they don't limit the number of kind of movies and TV shows that you can watch on Netflix. So you have unlimited access, right? In contrast, if you think about the Uber Eats or Baemin subscription services, I mean, if you look at the products offered by like Uber Eats and Baemin, they are like a food, right? It's a perishable. Okay, you have to consume quickly, and also it's a location based. Okay, I mean, even though you know that like there's a famous restaurant in Busan, but if you are living in Seoul, you cannot get like this kind of the food, right? In Seoul by subscribing to Uber Eats or like Baemin, right? So it's a like location based. You can only consume the like restaurants like foods from restaurants nearby. Okay, and also the kind of the benefit you will have by subscribing to for example Yogi-Oh that we are going to look at in this study is just so you're going to get a limited number of discounts. Okay, so when Yogi-Oh launched this their subscription service, so you pay okay certain amount of money upfront, but then you can get 10 kind of the discounts for delivery fees. So essentially, up to 10 orders, you don't need to pay any delivery fee if you subscribe to Yogi or like a payment Yogios like subscription service. But still, you're going to get then a limited number of discounts, okay, from this subscription. So in many ways, we believe that OFD platforms are different from other types of online platforms like Netflix and then many prior studies, okay, actually look at the more of the like Netflix or Wall Street Journal, this kind of platform, which we claim that is different from OFD platforms. That's why we think that it's worthwhile to look at the impact of subscriptions in the OFD market. Okay. So here is our research questions. Okay. So first, we're going to look at the launch of a subscription service on an OFD platform. I mean, actually, in our case, Yogi-Oh, and how does it affect consumers, online, kind of the orders, okay, on both Yogi-Oh and Baemin, okay, on the focal platform and its competitors. And secondly, then we want to look at whether there's any spillover effect, okay? So offline spillover effect, whether subscribing to Yogi-Oh, okay, so consumers will make a more offline restaurant visit or fewer offline visits. So we're going to look at whether there's any offline spillover effect. We think that the second question is more kind of the interesting. And the last question is then we know that so the subscriptions to Yogi-Oh can affect offline spillover effects, so they can affect a consumer's offline restaurant visits. But we are further claim that I mean this subscribing to Yogi-Oh may affect the consumer's consumption of other non-food related kind of the categories. Okay, so we want to look at this kind of the three questions using our data, okay, in from Korea.
Okay, Prof. Kim, are you
Yeah.
going to explain the spillover effect for our students later?
Oh,
Or if
yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah.
can you
Sure,
explain
sure.
it?
Yeah, yeah. So essentially, what spillover here means that, I mean, this kind of the subscription service, right, was launched by Yogi-Oh, one OFD platform. So then, of course, right, if you were the users of or user of this platform Yogi-Oh, then of course this subscription policy should affect your behavior on this platform, right? That's not surprising, right? Because now Yogi-Oh introduced this subscription service, so you can decide whether you're going to adopt this service or not, okay, as a consumer, as a user of Yogi-Oh. And once you subscribe to this service, of course, your behavior might change, okay? But what we try to show is that actually this subscription service launched by Yogi-Oh may affect your consumption patterns on Baemin. Okay, that's what we call the online spillover effect to the competing platform. But furthermore, we claim that this subscription service might have an offline spillover effect, meaning that this new a subscription-based service might affect consumers, okay, uh, like a, uh, uh, consumers offline restaurant visits. Okay, because if you, our idea is that if you suppose you subscribe to this Yogi subscription service, okay, Yogi service, right? Then you may enjoy the service more, so you order delivery foods more frequently. So you're going to have more delivery foods,
Mm,
okay? But then, once you have a lot of delivery foods,
mm,
then you may want to have other types of foods as well.
mm,
Okay, so then you have two options, right? Either you can cook at home if you want to
mm,
have a different foods, then either you can cook at home or you go out
mm,
and you try like nearby restaurants.
mm,
Okay, but we claim that maybe, I mean, the consumers, honestly, theoretical, we don't know which option will be more preferred by consumers. But
mm,
what we found is actually the consumers in our data, they prefer going out.
mm,
Actually, the subscription, having more delivery food doesn't kind of the necessarily reduce their like a restaurant, offline restaurant visits. Actually,
mm,
it increased the restaurant visits. But
mm,
we think that this is more of the offline spillover effect because your subscription service now affects consumers, okay, offline restaurant visits.
mm.
Okay,
So you
this is
mean
more of the like a spillover, right?
okay, this is a kind of a, I subscribe Netflix, and I
Yes,
enjoy the Netflix movies in my house. And I, because of a Netflix, the moving a movie, and I actually visiting theater in offline
yeah,
more frequently. Is this
yes. Yeah,
equal
that's more
equal?
of the, yeah, it's the same
Okay.
concept. Yeah, it's that's also
But
like offline spillover.
but we don't go much the movie theaters due to the we watching the Netflix at home. But
Yeah, yeah.
but in this case, we subscribe of food delivery service, and we more go to offline restaurant uh, place,
Yes.
uh, and then we enjoy that kind of the life
Yeah.
in
So
dining room.
here the spillover can be
Okay.
negative or
Uh,
positive. So
okay.
in your like a Netflix case, so spillover can be negative, more of negative,
Negative.
right? If you're
Okay.
watching like a movies, TV show, Netflix more, then you are
Uh-huh.
less likely to go to a theater, right?
Okay.
So then that's a more of the negative spillover,
I
offline
see.
spillover. But then in
Okay.
our case, later I'm going to show our findings, but then actually there is a positive offline spillover.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So
So
another case and these days because of Netflix and so many Korean drama and movie in Netflix, and the world viewers watching and enjoy the Korean movies in Netflix, and they coming to Korea in person physically, that
yeah,
we say that because of Netflix effect, and we can say that is a spillover effect.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So here, like we are defining the spillover more loosely, right? It's meaning
Okay.
that, I mean, this kind of the new service is
Uh,
launched by the Yogio, one
okay.
OFD
Uh-huh.
platform. So of course, like consumers be able to change on this particular platform.
Uh-huh.
It's not surprising. Okay, we don't
Okay.
call it like a spillover, but if this policy affects its competitor, in our
Mm-hmm.
case, like a Baemin,
Mm-hmm.
or if it affects like consumers' offline
Mm-hmm.
food consumption patterns,
Mm-hmm.
then we call it like a spillover.
Okay,
Okay,
I see.
because
Interesting.
this changes happens outside of this focal platform, like a
Okay.
payment or Yogyo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So any more questions from our students or
Usually students they well understanding this kind of knowledge, so
okay, sure.
they don't
Okay.
ask. They just
Okay.
listen. I'm asking because I don't much have knowledge of that stuff.
Okay. So then going. So a little bit about like a literatures. Okay. So of course, like I said, there are some kind of literature looking at the online platforms. Okay. But then there are also like another like a body of research looking at the impact of subscriptions. Okay. So then our study is kind of is in the intersection between these two literature, right? So we are looking at the impact of subscriptions in a one type of online platform, which is OFD platform. Okay. So then, like I said, all these studies, okay, so on online platforms and the impact on subscriptions, look at mostly platforms like Netflix, okay, or online newspapers, music streaming, or kind of Netflix, okay. So when prior studies look at the impact of subscriptions in online platform, the types of platform they look at is more of the like a Netflix or Spotify or like a Wall Street Journal, okay? Which we claim that these platforms are very different from like a OFD platforms. That's why we think that it's worth it to look at the impact of subscription on like OFD markets. Okay. And also, these prior studies mainly look at the impact of subscriptions on consumers within the platform who are actually adopting this service, subscription service. Okay, but these studies rarely look at the impact of like a spillover effects, okay, to like a competing platforms or like even like a offline like a spillover effects, okay. But given we have like a large kind of set of data, we can actually look at not only online spillover effects but also offline spillover effects, okay, because we can also look at the consumers offline like a dining kind of the consumption patterns. So we can look at both like online and offline spillover effects. Okay. And now like I'm going to like present the results later, but we think that these two mechanisms are driving our main findings. Okay. So of course, like we are talking about the location-based kind of the products, right? With food, right? So if you want to actually visit restaurants, then transportation costs will be very important. Okay, transportation costs will play a big role in consumers' decisions. So we think that transportation costs are one big kind of the one important mechanisms. And another like important mechanism is like a variety seeking. Okay, so if you, I guess most of you have an experience of like having delivery foods, but then in Korea actually if you want to have a delivery foods, then the type of foods that you can have is more of the limited, right? So you can have like maybe fried chickens or Chinese Korean foods or pizza, but you cannot have you cannot have I mean, other types of foods rarely, easily, right? So when you have like the delivery foods, the type of like food that you can have is kind of the limited, okay? Then if you have a lot of delivery foods, but then we think that, oh, you are kind of the sick of like having the same set of foods again and again. So then inherently, like I mean, humans, right? Inherently, we want to seek for like a variety, right? We want to try then something different, okay? So in this case, then, like I said, then you can cook different foods at home, or you can just go outside, okay, to have like a new types of like foods, okay? You can go out for dining, okay? And later we're going to, but unfortunately, we have no information about like whether I mean, you're like a home cooking, okay? But at least we know like whether consumers like went out for dining. We have the data about that. So we're going to look at whether this subscription service makes the consumers go out for dining more frequently. We want to look at that, okay? But we think that these two kind of the mechanisms are pretty important to explain our main findings, okay, given the setting that we have. So I mean, maybe I'm going to skip it, and maybe like I'm maybe get back to this slide. But this slide is trying to show that how our paper is different from other like kind of similar kind of studies. But maybe I'm get back to this slide later. Okay, once I finish the older slides. Okay, so
But I
here's
have a
yeah,
question.
sure.
The previous slide.
Oh, okay.
For our students, usually students have not much knowledge of journal style tables. You know, when we writing up the journal style papers, we always comparing to the previous study. This study,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
and the previous study, we analyze it
yeah.
and the variables and theory and method. So is there particularly or is it typical the comparison table for the journal writing papers, right?
Yeah. So from my experience, I think it's this kind of table is more increasingly used
Okay,
in a journal,
right. Okay,
in
right.
our IS community at least, I guess,
Uh-huh.
because like reviewers, like I mean, now reviewers are very picky. Okay,
Yes.
so then they always ask us
Mm-hmm.
to come and highlight our
Okay.
contributions, right, to
Okay.
the
Right.
literature. And I think from my experience, this is most effective. Creating this kind of table is most
Okay.
effective way of
Uh-huh.
highlighting our contributions.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
So I like, yeah, this kind of generating this kind of table. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, go. Mm,
So now let me explain our research context, okay? So like I said, okay, so we going to look at OFD platform, online food delivery platforms in an Asian country, but actually South Korea,
mhm,
okay? And as you know, then we have two dominant OFD platforms, okay, Baemin and Yogiyo. And the focal platform, so here like this Yogiyo, okay, the second kind of largest OFT platform in South Korea. So the Yogiyo introduced its first subscription service in August 2019, okay. So then by subscribing, okay, to Yogiyo's service, now you're going to get, so you need to them, the monthly fee is like around like 7.5 US dollars. Okay. I think it's about maybe man won. Okay. 10,000 Korean won. So then by paying the subscription fee, then you can get 10 times of discounts. Okay. So the delivery fee is around generally around 2,500 Korean won. But then by subscribing to the service, now you don't need to pay the delivery fee up to 10 orders in a month. Okay. That's kind of this kind of subscription service, right? Which is pretty different from the subscription service offered by Netflix, right? Because I mean, you can say if you subscribe to Netflix, you have unlimited access to contents on Netflix, right? And then the content that you consume will be identical regardless of where you're located. Okay, because this is digital good, right? But here the OFT platform are dealing with foods that are perishable and location kind of a specific. Okay, so that's why these OFT platform are pretty different from Netflix and other types of
mhm.
platforms. So what we are going to do is that if you are familiar with this kind of the DID setting, oh, sorry,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
So
before we go forward,
sure,
simply ask the jargon, the important keyword. You mentioned the DFD, difference in difference.
right.
Probably most of our students are not familiar with the difference in difference.
Oh, okay,
So
sure, yeah.
could you briefly explain difference in difference for our
Okay, sure.
students?
Yeah. So the first, suppose that you want to develop, you're working for a pharmaceutical company and then you want to develop a new medicine, right? So then suppose that you think that you found the new medicines, okay, that is very kind of the effective in maybe curing all cancer, okay? So then you want to show, okay, whether your new medicine is very effective in curing kind of the cancer. So how can you do that? So then you're going to have, typically you're going to have two groups, okay? You have one group, which is called like a treatment group. So, and then you have another group, which is the control group, okay? So then patients in the treatment group will get this medicine, new medicines. And then patients in the control group will get nothing. Okay. But other than this, okay, the two groups are pretty similar. Okay. Theoretically, it should be exactly the same. Okay. And suppose that then now, after taking these medicines in the treatment group, suppose that the patient in the treatment groups, their cancers are more likely to be cured in the maybe next month. Okay. So then what can we infer from this finding? Okay, so now patients in the treatment group, they are more likely to be cured in the next month. Then how does this difference happens? Okay, we can just then, we should then say that this difference, okay, is mainly because of the taking, the treated patient in the treated group are taking this new medicine. Okay, otherwise these two groups, the two groups are essentially the same. The only difference is like patients in the treat group took this new medicine while like a patient in the control group didn't. Okay, that's the only difference. So if the patient in the treat group are more likely to be cured than the control group in the next month, it should be probably because of this taking new medicines. That's why then we can show that actually the new medicine is very effective in curing a patient, cancer, right? So then, like but in reality, okay, it's very difficult to have. But here, the main assumption is that the two group
Uh-huh.
should be exactly the same, okay,
Okay.
before taking this new medicine. But
Mm-hmm.
in reality, it's very difficult to kind of have that setting, okay, because
Okay.
this should be based on like a randomization case.
Okay. I
So
see.
in reality, it's very difficult.
Uh-huh.
So then, what can you do? So
Uh-huh.
here, what we want to do is that, okay, so. But at least like we know that the Yu-Gi-Oh, actually
Uh,
this is Yu-Gi-Oh.
okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh launched, okay, a subscription service in
Uh-huh.
August 2019, okay?
Okay.
So we can consider this as like a taking a medicine, okay?
Okay.
So only like consumers in the Yu-Gi-Oh
Uh-huh.
will have this subscription service,
Okay.
okay? But then consumers in the control group,
Uh-huh.
okay, here in this case, this is like the Bemin.
Okay.
Okay, so there they cannot access the subscription service because at that time Baemin
Uh-huh.
didn't launch any subscription service.
Okay. I
Okay,
see.
so
Uh,
the users, consumers in the Baemin,
uh,
they're like the control group in now like a medicine case. Okay,
okay. I see.
but the consumers in the Yu-Gi-Oh now like they're going to have a new medicine, like they're going to have a new subscription service. Okay,
Okay.
so then like we have two groups
Uh-huh.
control group and then treated group and then control group.
Uh-huh.
And then we're going to look at we're going to consider the launch of a new substance service as a kind of natural experiment. Okay. It's like a shock. So if there is any change, but we need to look at the change. Okay.
Okay.
So that's why we need to have the before
Uh-huh.
we need to know what was the kind of consumption pattern before the launch of this subscription in both
Okay.
platforms? Okay, because we want to make sure that
Uh,
before the launch of this subscription service, the two group was exactly the same.
Okay.
Okay, that should be a kind of the very important assumption. So we need to show that actually the two groups, the consumers in the Yogyo and the consumers in Baemin were
Uh,
exactly the same before
okay.
before the launch of subscription service in Yogyo. Okay,
Okay. So
that's
my following questions, you comparing the Yogyo and the Bedari Minjok in Korean
yes,
context, which is a
yes,
similar comparison. How about if we comparing Uber Eats in Korea or Uber Eats in the United States, or like other OFD business model in Hong Kong? There's is a bit different context there comparing to Korean market.
yes, yes.
So
So
is it possible to
typically,
compare?
I'm not going to compare like the OFD platform across the country.
Okay.
Probably it's better to compare OFD within the same country.
Okay.
It's because like a different country might have different regulations, different like a major events.
Hmm.
So then it makes us more challenging to claim that the two
Hmm.
platforms were exactly the same before this kind of the natural shock.
Okay.
Okay.
I see.
So I do prefer like comparing platforms within the same country. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even that, I mean, the consumers, okay, consumers in Yogyo and consumers in Bemin can be different
Okay.
before the shock because this is not a randomized kind of the experiments, okay?
Okay.
So typically you have this setting, but
Mm.
then later, okay, so in the next slide, I think the next slide, yeah,
주게. Mm.
yeah. Oops. Okay. Oh, so I don't have that, but typically is then I won't have this matching
Mhm.
because the two groups can be different before the launch of this subscription service. So then typically we're going to have the DID different setting with like a matching. So
Okay.
by using this kind of matching mechanisms, we, I mean, but this I mean, even after matching, we cannot claim that the two groups are exactly the same. But by doing like this kind of matches, we want to make like the two groups as similar as possible, okay, to each other. Okay, that's what we are trying to do by using this matching mechanism. Okay. So then let me explain like what kind of data we are using in this study. So actually, so we got this like a large scale transaction data from a mobile portfolio applications. Okay. So consumers, okay, of this mobile app, they're going to want to like kind of the track all the consumptions they are making through their credit cards. Okay. So then whenever they make a transactions using their credit cards, it will be recorded on these mobile applications. Okay. And then this is kind of will be part of our transaction, kind of the data. Okay. So essentially, we're going to we can like observe all kinds of transactions made by or like kind of the user of these mobile platforms, not only in the food delivery like a dining kind of the category, but also in other like categories like maybe e-commerce or grocery shopping or like all kinds of like transactions. Okay. So in our data, we have 18 broad categories and 1 to 3 intermediate categories and then 456 specific categories. And actually, this is we have huge number of like users subscribe using this mobile app, but we had some kind of the cleaning data cleanings, and after that, so we had more than 50,000 users and these like more than 50,000 users made like more than 700,000 food delivery orders during our study period. Okay, so this is a quite kind of large data set.
Okay.
So then but then how can you find but then how can you identify the food delivery orders from our transactional data? Because this company, mobile app company, they kind of the marks, they kind of the classified each transaction into a different category, okay? Because they know which kind of store was associated with this particular transaction. So we know that whether the transaction is for dining, whether this transaction is for online purchasing, or whether this transaction is for grocery shopping. We know this kind of the information. That's why we could identify like a transactions that are related to food delivery orders. Okay. So after doing this, then we look at so on Yogio on the Focal platforms, got the users in our sample, okay, made like a I think that their if you look at their daily frequency of food delivery orders in the Focal platform, it's like a 0.036. Okay, I mean it's relatively small. But then if you look at the order frequency on Bamin is slightly larger, but yeah, actually it's it's very similar. Actually, it's a little bit small, but yeah.
Mm.
But in terms of the order amount, I think the daily order amount, I think the is kind of larger on on the kind of the Bamin on the competitor platform. Okay. And if you look at their offline restaurant visit per day, then it's like a 0.25. Okay. So actually, kind of sample, I think that this sure number seems kind of the high.
Mm.
Uh, yes, but this is our data.
Okay, this is question for you.
Yeah.
I think that is data is quite seems like internal data. Uh, how can you acquire that data from
Yeah, that's a
company or you
yeah, that's a good question. So
what's the method?
maybe I don't know how, okay,
Uh-huh.
but I think the Jaehyun An, so he's a
Okay,
professor
I see.
at the KAIST
Uh-huh.
Business School.
Uh-huh.
I think yeah, he had some kind of relationship with this mobile app company.
Nice.
I don't know how, but
Uh,
and I think his lab could obtain this data.
okay, I
And
see.
then, so I don't know how he got
Okay,
this
I
data.
see.
And it, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, but this is very detailed
That's
and
the role of
maybe a little
the
sensitive data, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, yeah. So now then, like I said, so then we have a DID setting. So we have like a 6 months. Actually, our stay period is 1 year.
Mm,
So we got data 6 months before and after this launch of subscription service. And then we have a control group, which is like a users on like a payment.
mm,
Okay. And if you think about, so uh, oh, okay, sorry. I think it should be like 19. Okay, sorry,
mm,
it's a typo. It should be
mm,
August 2019.
mm,
But then our data ends in January 2020. Okay,
mm,
so why do you think that we had this kind of our study period ends in January 2020?
mm.
So any guess?
COVID-19?
Yeah, because our the end period is January 2020 here.
Mhm. That mm,
Yeah.
January.
Because it's of COVID, right? COVID
Mm,
started, I think, like in Korea, like COVID essentially started in February 2020. And we
okay.
know that after the COVID started, like consumers' consumption pattern changed a lot.
Mm,
So we want to avoid this COVID effect. So that's
mhm.
why we ended our stay period in January 2020. So to
Okay.
avoid any impact from COVID, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why now we have the 6 months after this launch and
Mm,
then 6 months before this launch. And our third period is like 1 year in
mhm,
total.
mm. If if you cut it out because of COVID-19,
Mhm.
that means you have if you have that data including COVID-19 after COVID,
Yeah.
you could see that COVID effect as well.
Yeah, yeah. So that could be another paper.
Right.
Yeah. But
Uh,
in this paper, yeah, we
Let me
actually we
see.
are trying to avoid the COVID effect. Yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
that can be another paper
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we can write.
Mm,
Yeah. So then, like I said, we have this DID with the matching. That's our empirical model. Okay, I think in our IS community, this is pretty kind of the standard approach. Okay,
mm,
because usually our like a sharp, right? In our case, the launch of a subscription service.
mm,
Okay, is kind of exogenous, but now like consumers, they have kind of I mean, they can decide whether they want to use this service, right?
mm,
So it's not like they must use this. So it's a consumer's choice. So then, of course, there is a self-selection issue, okay? And to address these self-selection issues, and we often use like a matching, even though it's not perfect, then I think at least like matching can relieve some of the concerns from the self-selection. So this the idea with matching, this kind of the is very standard like approach in the IS community, okay, and it's well accepted in our community, okay. So let me first show our model-free evidence. So here the point is that before the launch of the subscription service, okay, if you look at so time zero
mm,
means the month when the subscription service was launched, okay. So then before the launch of this service, I think that the two platforms was somewhat the trends between the two platforms was somewhat similar. I mean, I guess maybe there is a little difference in the recent months, but in general, it's very similar. So
mm,
then after this shock, now
mm,
suddenly, okay, if you look at the total amount of orders on the Yogyo, the treatment group on the
mm,
focal platform,
mm,
on the treatment users, then it increased sharply. Okay.
mm,
Whereas if you look at the control users in
mm,
the on Yogyo, so then their order amounts didn't
mm.
increase. Actually, it decreased a little bit. Okay. So
Okay.
then I can see that so then we don't know for
Uh-huh.
sure at this moment, but we can say that this kind of the divergence, okay,
Okay.
this increase from the treated users
Okay.
partly attributed to I mean the use of the subscription service, right? They subscribe the treated users, our treated users, they are subscriber, so they
Uh,
subscribe to Yogios.
Okay.
And then now they don't need to pay a delivery fee, so they're going to order more frequently. That's our like argument, okay?
Okay.
But if you look at the competitor platforms, then it's not as significant as the focal platform, but you can see that if you are subscribing to now Yu-Gi-Oh's subscription service, but then you order less on Baemin, okay? There's a kind of the spillover effect to the Baemin, okay? But this is not, this is just model-free evidence. Now we're going to show this by using our DID with the matching kind of the methods, okay? Okay, so now if you look at our like results based on the DID with matching methods, then if you look at the column one, so column one means this. I'm talking about this the first column. So then this means that after subscribing to Yu-Gi-Oh's service, now consumers now they increase their daily amount of orders. Okay, so that's what it found. But it could be okay. So but here, okay, but it could be there so they increase their order total order amounts, daily order amounts, but it can be maybe they order more frequently. That's why the daily order amount increase. That's
Mm,
one option. But another option is that maybe they order uh, similarly, but for each order they're going to order more. Okay.
mm,
But what we found is that actually they order more frequently but the amount per order is actually decreased. Okay, but still their daily order amounts, total amounts will increase. Okay, because they're going to order a lot more frequently after
okay.
subscribing. Okay, I think this is makes sense, right? Because
Yes, very
the
obvious.
main benefit of subscription is that you don't need to now pay a delivery fee for each
Yes.
order. Okay, up to
Right. Right.
10 orders.
Right.
Okay, so now if you just have like one meal, like a
Uh,
10,000 Korean won, so
uh,
then you can just order it, right? But
uh,
previously, if you think that you're going to order one like a food of 10,000 won,
mm,
and if you need to pay like a
mm,
2,500 Korean won as a
mm,
delivery fee,
mm,
then the delivery fee is a lot, okay?
mm,
Because 25% of your like a food price, okay?
mm,
That's a lot, okay?
mm,
So probably then you don't order a lot kind of frequently, right?
mm,
But now, if you just have one jjajangmyeon or jjampong, then you can easily order it because you don't need to pay a delivery fee. So
mm,
essentially, you order more frequently on Yogiyo.
mm,
But now, if you look at the then consumers, okay, orders on like a Baemin,
mm,
but then actually what he found is that in general, they're going to order more, they're going to order less frequently on Baemin, and
mm,
also the amount, the order amount, okay, is actually decreased. Okay,
mm,
so this launch of subscription service by Yogio has a negative impact on the Baemin. Okay, so
mm,
there's a negative online spillover. Okay,
mm,
that's what he found. Okay.
okay. Mm,
So this table tells us that actually there is a little bit a certain degree of substitution between the Baemin and
mm,
Yogiyo. Okay,
okay.
some kind of the order online orders
Mm,
were like moved from like a Baemin
mm,
to Yogiyo. Okay, that's what's happening after launch of this service.
mhm,
But then our next question is whether then this will reduce the total amount of spending on online food deliveries.
mm,
Okay, whether they're going to kind of order less
mm,
on average or order more. Okay, so we looked at the total amount of spending on OFD market, the overall OFD
uh,
markets by a consumer. Okay,
uh,
and if you look at this, that actually then the consumers, okay, after Yogiyo launched this subscription service, if you subscribe to Yogiyo's like a subscription service, then you in general you're going to order more frequently, and then the total spending on online food deliveries will increase.
mm,
Okay, so even though like so then here what this means that I mean you of course you're going to spend less on Baemin, okay, because Yogiyo launched subscription service, but because you're going to order a lot more on Yogiyo, okay, so this increase is more than the loss on the like a Baemin. So in general, by subscribing to the Yogiyo subscriptions, now you're going to on like the overall you're going to order more. Okay,
mm.
so which means that you're going to have more delivery foods after subscribing. Okay,
Okay.
it can be from like a Yogio or Baemin, but in total,
Mm.
you're going to have more delivery foods after subscribing. That's what we found. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
now we
First
know
question
that
for
you're
you.
going to have more delivery foods. Our next question is then you're going to go out less for dining.
Okay, that's the point.
Yeah.
In this slide, we can clarify, okay, because of a subscription effect, the people using frequently more the Yu-Gi-Oh apps, and finally the amount of increase a little bit further. So which
Yeah.
is quite a successful launching.
Yes.
So is which is anyway significant outcomes of that the subscription uh, business model. And but you said like the spillover effect. And still, we are not sure is going to affect
No, no.
online
So
from
Spillover is
online to the
here, right?
physical. Okay, I see.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's the
Spillover
point.
is
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So of course, like there is a negative spillover effect on
Mm.
like a Baemin.
Okay.
So people spend more on Yogyo, and then
Mm,
people will spend less on
mm,
like a Baemin.
mm,
But here, what I'm trying to say in the next slide is that even though you spend, okay, so even though you spend less on Baemin,
mm,
but you going to increase your spending on Yogyo a lot more than that.
mm,
So in total, your spending on online food delivery platforms will increase.
mm,
So here we're going to combine all the spending on like a Baemin and Yogiyo,
mm,
okay, so of consumers, okay. So then consumers, okay, after subscribing to Yogiyo subscription service, then consumers they're going to increase their spending on their consumption of delivery foods.
mm,
So then delivery foods can come from Yogiyo or like a Baemin. Okay, we
mm,
are accounting for both platforms. Okay, to compute this overall spending on OFD market. Okay, of consumers. Okay, but if you consider all the spending on online food delivery markets by consumers, actually consumers okay increase their spending on this market after subscribing to Yogios. Okay, because I mean they're going to spend a lot more on Yogio. Okay, so then they spending less on Baemin. Okay, so this increase on Yogyo is more than the loss decrease on the like the Baemin. Okay,
mm,
so that's why in total, actually, so they are like consumers. Okay, after subscribing, consumers will spend more on OFT market. So they won't have more delivery foods. Okay, that's what we found. Okay.
mm,
Okay, so then next question will then whether there will be any like a offline spillover effect. Okay, meaning that whether like a whether subscription will make consumers go out for dining more frequently. Okay, so we had all the restaurant visits. So in our transaction data, right, we can recognize any transaction related to offline, like a restaurant, like a spending. Okay, so then we look at all like a dine now, like a spendings. So then actually, after subscribing to Yogyo service, now like a consumers, they're going to go out for dining more frequently. Okay, actually, so I mean, when I had this finding, actually, I was surprised because if I have more delivery foods, I thought that I'm going to go out less. Okay, but actually, surprisingly to me, like actually, after having more delivery foods, consumers, okay, they go out for dining more frequently. Okay, that's what I found. So here, this kind of finding tell us that maybe now then people will cook less at home. Okay, because if you want to have a meal, right, you have three options in general, right? So one option is you cook at home. Okay.
mm,
And another option is you have a delivery foods. And the last option is you go out to nearby restaurants and then kind of having food, right, there. So you have three options, but then now we know that after subscribing, the consumers will have more delivery foods.
mm,
Now in this table, now we also have that, we also show that consumers will then have more dining hours,
mm,
more restaurant visits.
mm,
So the next conclusion is that actually the consumers will have less cooking at home.
mm.
Okay, so that's what's going on. Okay, it's
Okay.
in like a
Here's a question for you. If we can understand the spillover effect is quite effective from online to offline, and then we confirmed that fact. I want to I would like to know whether more items will be consumed or not. Like if okay, more frequency, that means if I just want to choose again and again 짜장면, 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 or 짬뽕.
right.
Probably if the increase of the frequency, that means we can choose more diverse or various the items.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
that's
find
what
out?
he found. Yeah, actually,
Okay,
so
good.
I'm going to show that
Oh, I see.
in yeah, in a kind of the slides later. Okay,
Okay.
uh, but actually, so now if you look at then, oh, oh yeah, sorry. Okay.
Mm,
So now, if you think about then why it happens, okay,
mm,
and we think that there are two important mechanisms, and the first one is like a transportation cost, okay.
mm,
So here now what we found is that actually this offline dining, we look at this offline dining
mm,
visits, offline restaurant visits, but then the consumers, okay, what we found previously is that now consumers now they're going to visit restaurants more frequently, but they are not going to visit far away restaurants.
mm,
Okay, if they want to like a visit, okay. What we found is that actually now they're going to visit more of the nearby restaurants within
mm,
2 miles radius. Okay,
mm,
so because transportation is kind of significant, you don't want to go too far, okay?
mm,
Maybe you are working kind of full time, so you're busy. So, but still you are sick of having the same set of types of delivery foods again and again. So
mm,
you want to go off or and you want to try something new, but still you're going to go to nearby restaurant because of significant transportation costs. So
okay.
that's what we found. But then, like a Professor Gu said, now we think that this variety seeking is very important for consumers.
Okay.
So we have now several evidence to show this. Okay,
Mm,
so first one is now we going to we in Korea, right? Certain types of foods are kind of kind of consumed in the food delivery, right? So the top three food delivery categories in Korea are pizza, chicken, and Chinese cuisine. Okay, those are top three delivery categories. Okay,
okay.
so we divided our restaurants into these two categories: top
Mm,
three categories and then non-top three categories. And actually, is also this positive spillover effect is mainly exists in non-top three categories.
mm,
So this suggests that actually, I mean, people, okay, so I mean, after subscribing, they're going to have more delivery foods, but then now they have too many pizzas, chicken, or Chinese cuisines. Okay, so that's why when they go out for dining, they're going to try non-top three categories, something different. Okay,
mm,
that's what we found because they want to they want to try something new. Okay, and if you combine this like a transportation cost and the variety seeking behavior, then actually now this variety seeking behavior, so it's kind of there is a significant interaction, right? So the most positive spillover effects
mm,
happens for non-top three categories,
mm,
but for like a nearby restaurants. okay, within 2 mile radius. That's what we found. Okay, there is a positive kind of the interaction between this transportation cost and then variety seeking behavior. Okay. And we had this, okay, this and now using whether the restaurant is franchise or non-franchise because franchises we think that franchise is serving more like more homogeneous foods and maybe the franchise foods are more well consumed with like a by like a this like a the food delivery services. Okay, so now if you look at our findings, what we found is that actually the positive spillover effect is mainly exists for non-franchise restaurants. Again, it's within 2 mile radius. Okay,
Okay.
so this suggests that I mean, if consumers want to seek kind of variety, then like I mean, maybe they want to try foods from non-franchise restaurant because the non-franchise restaurants are more of the small restaurants, and then they may provide the different like a variety various foods, right? Whereas like franchise restaurants, okay, maybe many consumers are familiar with franchise restaurants, or they can have easily have some franchise like a food from franchise restaurant via like a delivery, like a food delivery apps. So now, like if they want to seek varieties, then they are more likely to try non-franchise restaurants within like a short distance. Okay.
Well, which is a very interesting result.
Okay.
People
Thank you.
seek further the authentic food rather than the homogeneous and standardize the food.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that is fantastic. So
Yeah.
you
Maybe
know,
like if you're in the hotel, like so in the management, right? I think this
uh,
finding you may be more familiar with this kind of this restaurant like industry and then price
that's right.
studies to look at the
Yes,
restaurant industry because
yes,
in
yes.
IS, right, looking at the
Mhm.
restaurant industry is not very common. So
Uh,
yeah, but maybe your
in our
area might be.
hospitality and the restaurant
Yeah.
industry, we are talking about a lot of the franchise effect
Oh,
and
okay. Okay.
franchise business, which is a very widespread business model to restaurant industry in Korean market. And if your findings apply for the franchise, and that means we need much more authentic food restaurant is going to be appeal to, consumers. And the
Yeah.
consumers,
Yeah.
they like more,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
variety and genuine and authentic food. Uh, okay, that's quite very interesting outcomes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, actually, so I mean, now like if you think that most non-franchise restaurants are relatively small, right?
Mhm.
Then actually this is kind of the important finding for maybe policymakers, right? Because
Mhm.
now like policymakers, when they talk about the delivery fee,
Mhm.
okay, from the food delivery companies, right? Like Baemin and Yoogyo. Now, many restaurants and then our government thinks that the delivery fee is very significant, especially for small restaurants. But actually, this kind of services, like a
Mhm.
food delivery service, is now at least this evidence shows that actually it can be more beneficial for small restaurants, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So. I mean, the still it's a debatable whether the delivery fee is very significant or not, but at least we have some evidence to show that food delivery can be more
Mhm.
beneficial for so small restaurants. I think
But the location here, like less than 2 miles.
yes, yes,
Over the 2 miles, there is a minus effect.
slightly negative, but essentially maybe kind of yeah insignificant, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh. That means that every single corner around nearby my house, that's gonna be significant, and the people,
Yeah,
maybe
but here like a 2 mile is like a 3 kilometer, right?
yes, yes,
So,
30
yeah,
kilometers. Okay,
yeah.
mm, good, very interesting. Okay.
Okay, yes. And then another evidence to show the consumer's price seeking behavior is that Now we look at whether after subscribing, whether they're going to try something. Uh,
Hold
so
on. Okay, okay, good.
so now
Oh,
you can hear me, right?
okay, hear me.
Yeah. So now, like another evidence is that now we look at whether the consumers are more likely to visit new restaurants after subscribing, and actually, this is what we found. Okay, so after subscribing, when consumers go out for dining, now they're going to try new restaurants that they had never visited. Okay, that's what we found. So again, we think that this evidence supports the consumer's price-seeking behavior. Okay. So next, like what we want to show is that now so far, what we kind of the show is that so after the launch of subscription service on Yogyo, now consumers will spend more on Yogyo and spend less on Baemin, but still the overall spending on the OFD market will increase. They're going to have more delivery foods, but then this has a positive spillover effect on like a dining out, okay? Because after subscribing, consumers are more likely to go out for dining. Okay, they're going to go out for dining more frequently.
Mm,
Okay, then they're going to spend more on offline dining.
mm,
Okay, but this happens especially in within the nearby restaurants
mm,
because there is a significant transportation cost. So this happens mainly within like a short radius of
mm,
working. And then also, because of consumers' variety-seeking behavior, the pilot spillover is mainly happening for kind of restaurants
mm,
that are serving kind of the new, other types of
mm,
kind of the foods that the food delivery cannot serve. Okay, so
mm,
that's what we found. Okay, but now we're going to look at then whether there is any effect beyond the food industry. Okay, because like if you look at our kind of the data, we have all kinds of transaction in our data,
mm,
not only in the food industry but also in other like industries. Okay,
mm,
so we look at okay kind of the so-called the cascading spillover
mm,
to okay non-food kind of the industries. Okay, so what we found is that so actually so now there is a significant increase in consumption in non-food industry,
mm,
but within the same kind of the districts. It's like a dome,
mm,
okay? Within same dome. So people, consumers, they want to increase spending in non-food industries. Like they're going to have more grocery shopping. They're going to have more uh, so the maybe they want to buy books more. So they want to increase overall spending in the non-food categories.
mm.
But this increase only happens within the same district.
Okay.
Okay, it's a local again. It's because of the significant transportation cost.
Mm,
Okay, but they spending more in the local district, so that's why they don't go too
mm,
far. Okay, so then their spending in the neighboring
mm,
districts will
mm,
decrease. Okay, that's what we
mm,
found. Okay, but this is very surprising, right? So now because now we are talking about the one kind of the policy.
mm,
Okay, it's launched by a OFD market,
mm,
but then it can have an impact on consumers' non-food consumption patterns.
mm,
Okay. Okay, so I guess this is kind of the very significant impact. Okay,
mm, mm, mm,
and then this is more like a kind of the that this is kind of the result to directly support our like this kind of cascade spillover effect. Okay, so we look at this trip chaining. Okay, the meaning is that consumers suppose that you want to go out for dining. Okay, you want to like have dinner at a nearby restaurant, so you went out, you go out. But then to save time, you can you now you purchase other items okay, before or after your dinner.
mm,
Okay. So we look at the so because this is the same trip, right? Because we know when each transaction happened, we know that. So we
mm,
look at like how many like transactions consumptions were made around your dining. Okay. So suppose you had the dinner at 6 p.m. Okay. in Gangnam. Okay, so then you look at all your spendings like around this your dinner time in Gangnam. Okay, and actually, so within 2 hours after before and after your dining hours, actually you increase your spending increased mostly. Okay. So this suggests that actually now consumers they want to optimize their mobility, physical mobility, okay, because to save time and
mm,
to reduce the transportation costs, right?
mm,
So
mm,
now if you decided to go out for dinner,
mm,
then you also purchase other items
mm,
before or after the dinner. Okay, that's what we found. Okay, so again, that this evidence shows that there is a very significant transportation cost, and
mm,
then consumers try to optimize their trips
mm,
so that they can reduce their transportation costs. Okay,
mm.
so now you can see that these OFD platforms. Okay, they can affect consumers kind of the consumers' consumption patterns and
Mm,
eventually the consumers' maybe mobility patterns. Okay, that's
mm.
what we found. Okay.
Okay. Okay, here's my question for the about the restaurant business. As you know, the Korean restaurant business is a lot of the restaurant open and then they are bankrupt or they are just disappear within the 2 years, I guess. So probably there must be something aging effect or just a newly launching restaurant and whether that is old traditional like we say nopo and the old traditional restaurant. So did you check that this spillover effect onto the category of a newly launching restaurant or old restaurant?
Uh, we didn't look at that.
Hmm.
Okay. So maybe your question is maybe, I mean, but we can try that, right?
Hmm.
Here,
Yes.
in this
Hmm.
evidence, right? What we
Hmm.
show is that actually after subscribing, when
Hmm.
they go out for dining, then they're likely to visit new restaurants, right?
Okay.
Then they have never visited. But new restaurant means that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a young restaurant, right? They just this consumer didn't visit this restaurant before, but after subscribing, they are likely to visit this
Yes,
restaurant.
yes,
But
yes.
we didn't look at the restaurants, like when the restaurant was founded, or blah blah. We didn't look at
Okay.
that. So
Okay.
maybe, yeah. So
I
I
see.
mean, if
Okay, I
the
see.
restaurants are young, okay,
Mm,
recently
mm,
launched,
mm,
then probably if the consumers want to seek variety, then maybe they are more likely to visit maybe young restaurant too, right?
mm,
So
mm.
maybe that's something we can do. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, through my previous research about the restaurant business, something we did investigate on the about a fake review,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
and then usually fake review happen a lot in the newly launching restaurant within
Yes,
six
yes.
months, which is
Yeah,
hugely effective to attract more consumers using our review. So new
yes, yes.
launching business, there are a lot of the fake review. And then after 6 months later, and then the old business is fake reviews decrease rapidly. So
Okay,
that's why my question to you, newly launching and the old restaurant. Another one is restaurant business quite depends on sensitive of weekend and weekend time. So did
okay,
you
okay.
check that weekend time and weekdays? It's a point of the hospitality disciplines. It's not the MI's discipline, but
Yeah, yeah. Mm, maybe not in this paper because I have
Okay,
working on several papers on restaurant business,
okay,
but we didn't look at the weekend versus weekday effects. But in this I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but that's a good point. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. I don't think we look at
Uh-huh.
the effects between the
Okay,
weekend and weekday. Okay.
okay. That's
Yeah.
why you need collaborate with researcher from the hospitality and tourism,
I
including
see.
my name here. Then I can improve your more diverse and okay
I
fruitful
see.
outcome.
Okay.
Yeah, my guys only look at that result comparison, control, and treatment. but you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
see
yeah.
the contextualized environment, you know.
Okay, okay,
Restaurant
yeah.
business is quite vital for, uh, weekend,
Oh,
weekday, and,
really? Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
distance and remote, and also the fine dining and the traditional dining and newly trendy dining and old traditional dining.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Peop Youngsters, new generation, they look at for the fine dining and the diversity menus rather
Yeah,
than old people.
yeah,
There is a kind of the context of restaurant business.
yeah.
We
Actually, so
can,
we had some heterogeneous tests. Okay, so we look at whether our effects,
okay,
I mean,
okay,
significance, whether our effects vary by like age or gender, and maybe their
okay,
experience, okay,
uh-huh,
their usage on OFD, blah blah.
uh-huh,
But I mean, we reported some of the results in the
uh-huh,
paper, but I think like we couldn't find any kind of findings that we can easily explain because the findings were interesting, but we didn't know how to interpret them honestly. So that's why
thanks.
we had some heterogeneous like results, but yeah, so I didn't report them. Maybe yeah, we have some results here, heterogeneous. Uh, maybe not. Okay, so yeah, so yeah,
Okay, okay. It's okay, just a
yeah,
question.
sure. Oh, yeah. Okay, so. Then I guess maybe I mean I'm going to skip because in the if you want to publish at a top tier journals, then you need to have a lot of reference checks, right? So that's why
Okay,
here we
right,
show
right.
that like we had a lot of reference checks, but actually this paper
Uh-huh,
we are lucky to have an add-on at management science, so we got an add-on at
uh-huh,
management science. Now we are in the revisions okay, to resubmit our paper. We're almost done, actually. We're almost done, and we're going to
okay,
resubmit it to
okay,
Medium Science soon. But
uh-huh,
yeah, because of that, we had a lot of rules checks here. Uh, okay, so uh, I mean, uh, okay, so here the our main findings are so first, like I said, now there is some degree of substitution between the focal platform Yogio and the competing platform Baemin. Okay, so meaning that after subscribing, consumers will spend more on Yogio, but they will spend less on Baemin. Okay,
okay,
but still the overall like spending on the OFT market as increases. So this subscription service actually expanded the OFT market, okay, because
uh,
consumers will spend more on this delivery foods, okay.
uh,
But then we show that there's a kind of the positive offline spillover effects, meaning that now like after subscribing, consumers will visit restaurants more frequently, but this increase mainly happens within like short distance. Okay, like so they're going to visit more frequently, but they when they visit, they're more likely to visit more like a local restaurant, nearby restaurants because of
mm,
significant transportation costs. But then when they like visit local restaurants, because of variety seeking behavior,
mm,
now they're going to visit restaurant that serve some kind of the different types of foods, okay,
mm,
that they cannot try on for with food delivery, okay.
mm,
So
mm,
they're going to visit, they're more likely to visit like restaurant that serve that are in the non-top three delivery categories, and also there are not franchises,
mm,
and also there are new.
mm,
Okay, so they're going to try something new restaurants. Okay, when they like go out for dining. Okay, and then finally, what I found is that now there is a cascading effect, meaning that this subscription service
mm,
affected consumers' purchasing, and not only in the food sector but also in the non-food sector. So
mm,
the overall consumption pattern will change, and then overall consumption patterns will be localized.
mm,
Okay, because consumers care about like transportation costs, so they want to optimize their trees. Okay, so and this will affect the consumers' purchasing patterns of non-food related non-food like products and services. Okay, so this is kind of our main findings from this study,
On
and
top of this, previous slide is 2 mile radius of residence. In this case, when we
yes,
visualize this distance onto the map,
yeah,
we can find out the dot from my residence to the
yeah,
2 miles surroundings. That
yes, right,
visualization reflect how people move around the patternized visiting restaurant.
right,
And then certainly something like there is a distance here and the frequency here, probably increasing 2 miles to frequency and then slightly decrease. This theory is a distance decoy theory.
okay,
People
okay, okay,
people visiting frequently until 2 miles.
right, yes,
Beyond the 2 miles, the people are slowly not visiting the distance restaurant.
right, yeah, yeah.
This
I
this
think
this
that's what
is
he found. Yeah, I think, yeah, fully, yeah,
right.
yeah,
This right.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, so, but this is maybe the, I mean, our data is from Korea, South Korea, right? So, but then
mm,
I don't know whether if you look at this and using the data from United States or other countries, I don't know. I mean, so 2 mile is important
mm,
in Korea, but I don't know whether this will still hold
mm,
in other countries. But yeah, this is what we found. And if you think about 2 mile, it's a 3.2 kilometer. And if you work, then I think it's maybe, I don't know if you're young, then maybe around 30 minutes or like that's right. So uh, I guess it's a little bit too far, but within 2 miles, right? But you don't want to work more than maybe 30 minutes or yeah, kind of 1 hour, right? When you go
mm.
out for dining, right? So this is yeah. Okay, so we still have time, but I
Okay.
guess
Mm,
this
mhm.
is the end of my presentation.
Okay.
But do you have any like additional questions? Maybe
Mm,
from kind of the students. So
mhm.
any questions?
Uh,
Any kind of the simple comments or questions that you may have?
mm. Students are, you know, here is a lot of students and some who are interested in restaurant business, and definitely is a very good chance to ask, about this kind of a
Yeah.
uh,
Actually, yeah, like I said, I have I think 3 or 4 papers kind
mm,
of looking at the restaurant industry.
yes,
So
yes.
it happened to have a lot of
Uh-huh.
yeah. I have to have a lot of now papers on the restaurant
Any
industry.
question from student side? Actually, like the restaurant business, hotel business, and then transportation and travel activity is all about human business, and the people are keen on that kind of a behavior. These days MIS guys, I'm also my degree is MIS. The MIS guys are actually starting from that the form level, usually data-driven, database and data communications and ERP system sort of things. Still is mainstream research field. However, the Professor Kim and I are not familiar with probably factory-based, data these days. The travel business is much is understandable to us because we are every day using that kind of a data and then generating that kind of a data by my smartphone and apps. And then is this kind of the outcomes and result is quite clear and understandable to me and to Dr. Kim. So I think is our industry, tourism and hospitality industry, and the MI's functional base is overlapping very much well. So I definitely we inviting the MIS the experts, especially about the research methodology, and we have to learn from them about the research methodology, but we have to also provide the domain knowledge for them, and then it's a mutually dependent and uh, helpful for each other, I guess.
Yeah. So
Okay.
any questions?
Students?
Serious?
No? Okay, how about the you quite been a long time in Hong Kong,
Right. Yeah. So this is my 12th year in Hong Kong. Yeah.
12 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
12. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So can you can you tell us about the Hong Kong's the research and
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
teaching in the Hong Kong? How
Yeah.
about
Sure.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
So, I mean, so I'm working for the Chinese University of Hong Kong, I guess
mm,
one of the top three
mm,
universities in Hong Kong.
mm,
And in Hong Kong, I guess now it's very research oriented. Okay,
mm,
so I heard that when I before I joined come
mm,
to Hong Kong. Okay,
mm,
now some Hong Kong school, including Chinese University of Hong Kong,
mm.
we focus on teaching a lot.
Okay.
Okay, it's more of the
Okay.
teaching school. Okay, so at that time, the only research school in Hong Kong was probably the Hong Kong
Hong Kong
UST.
is the
Okay, Hong Kong University of Science and
okay.
Technology. But now all the maybe five major schools in Hong
Uh-huh.
Kong, Hong Kong U, Hong Kong
Uh,
UST, Chinese
uh,
U, and then City University, Hong Kong Poly U, all these universities are research
okay.
focused. So
Uh,
research for
uh-huh.
juniors, okay, or research kind of the track professors.
Okay.
Now research is
Uh,
very important, much more important than teaching. I mean,
okay.
teaching is still important, but I think research is much more important than teaching.
Uh, Teachers
Uh,
is replaceable, and we can find out the instructors, but researcher
yes,
is
yeah. So
not
we have
replaceable.
actually now we have many a teaching
Uh-huh.
professors.
Okay. Right.
So their focus is more of the teaching. But if you
Uh-huh.
are on a tenure track
Uh-huh.
faculty,
Uh-huh.
then your main focus should be on research. Okay.
Right. Right.
And for many schools, our a focus is to publish our research at a top journals. Okay.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's our policy. So
Uh,
we
uh,
want to we are encouraged to publish our works at a top journals. Okay. That's
okay.
okay. And usually the teaching load is pretty low,
Uh,
okay, like three
uh-huh.
courses per year, and
Three
then
courses per year.
yes, yes, and then we
That's a
try to
nine
minimize.
credit.
Yes, a 9 credit, yeah. So
Uh,
and we try to minimize the preps.
uh,
So we try to minimize the preps. So our juniors, our seasoned professors, I mean
uh,
sometimes they teach three sections of the intro to IS. So
okay.
then essentially they have one prep. But
Uh,
if they teach some master's courses, then they may have two prep, but we try to minimize the number of preps.
mm,
Okay. And then the research environment is pretty good. So we have very general research support.
uh,
I think it's even better than the many good schools in the United States. Okay,
okay.
because
Right.
I think we get a lot of research support from the
Uh-huh.
Hong Kong government, and
Mm,
then now Chinese government, right?
okay.
So particularly if you are doing research in AI or some
Mm,
kind of high tech
mm,
kind of high technologies, then I
mm,
think you have a lot of opportunity to
mm.
get funding from the governments. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So the research support is pretty generous. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's why I can travel a lot. Yes.
Traveling is our business, and
Yeah.
traveling without conscious of research context. You're just
Yeah.
traveling. You buy a ticket and then take an airplane and the landing and then check in the hotel.
Okay.
There's unconsciously way of you know doing in your life. But we do the
Yeah.
research. Why
Yeah.
you choose that hotel, why you choose that,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
why you choose that checking in the hotel in the morning, afternoon, or whatever. So is you are regularly visiting and patronize trip planning and choose your options, but we do the research, those kind of a behavior.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
You know that I provide the platform like a world conference on smart tourism in Macau is nearby your city.
Yeah, yeah. I know that. Like probably I attend that conference. It's in December, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Probably, yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, overlap the ISIS conference, but
But
no,
this year I'm not going to ISIS. Yeah,
sure. Then
yeah.
please
So
come
Nashville.
to.
Yeah, I've been there once. So
Uh,
and
uh,
yeah, probably I
please,
skip.
please submitting a short paper to the conference, and I want to hear from you your presentations.
Okay,
And
okay, sure. Yeah.
we still available time, and I eagerly invite you to this kind of a research, and that just the research ideas is definitely helpful for the hospitality and tourism researcher.
Okay, sure.
And
Yeah,
one of
yeah, yeah.
the SWOT analysis from my brain. Actually, tourism and hospitality business, they are all established, well set up for conference. But I feel like, okay, MIS guys are doing greatly research methodology based on data. But, the MIS is doing well, data driven. But uh, like you can also apply for our research domain, which is
Right, right.
quite interesting and familiar to every single day, everyday life in travel context. And you are far away doing greatly well on research method than the tourism researcher. So definitely is we can be able to learn from your research methodology and your way of approach. So if you're attending that conference is really helpful for our tourism researcher, and also the World CST will be the the top level conference
Okay.
sooner
Okay,
or
yeah,
later.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another one is like Hong Kong and China. They are really highly interested in going up to the scientific result. These days, top highly cited researcher and those kind of the outcomes and the numbers is way beyond the America and Europe. So I think it's Hong Kong is one of the is very you know leaders in the
Yeah,
world
yeah.
academia, I guess,
Right. I
way
mean, if you,
beyond
like I
China.
had a PhD in the United States, right? But
Okay.
then now, like I guess in our field, right? So now many PhD students in the United States actually they're originally from China, right?
Uh,
So we don't have a lot of like
uh,
PhD students from America or Western countries.
uh,
So and I guess, yeah. So now, like, because of the potential political issue between China and US,
uh,
I think now more like smarter Chinese students,
mhm.
more smarter Chinese students are coming to Hong Kong. Okay, they
Okay.
chose like Hong Kong
Uh,
over like United States.
okay.
So I think we have actually, yeah. So our PhD program is very competitive, and we have a
Mhm.
lot of smart students. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Manjun, you should go to transfer to the Hong Kong from me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yes. It's a great chance to finding spot in Hong Kong. So the Hong Kong Poly is a top tier school
Yeah,
in
I heard about that.
Asia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's huge. Like it's very large, right? So
Yes.
they have so many tenure track professors, and
Uh-huh,
it's huge,
uh-huh.
right?
Wow, it's quite interesting. The Hong Kong is a vast, and Macau these days, University of Macau, there are tons of
Yeah, they
wonderful.
also want to be a research kind of the university, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yes, University of Macau. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to visit the university, but yeah, I know now like some like a good scholars, they recently joined the University of Macau. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, what do you think about you know very well about KAIST and Seoul
yeah,
National University
yeah,
and
yeah,
Korea University and is top tier school in Korea.
yeah,
We
yeah.
are not so. progressing well comparing to Hong Kong and mainland China. So probably we have some big problem in the academia in Korea.
Yeah,
Our
because
research money and
yeah,
the supporting leadership.
yeah.
What do you think about that?
Because of the kind of economic incentives, right? So
Uh-huh.
because in Korea, in Hong Kong,
Uh,
our salary is pretty good,
uh-huh. I know that.
and we have a huge incentive to
Uh,
work harder on
uh-huh.
research,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
So otherwise, I mean, now like our salary is pretty good, but if you don't do a good job in
Mm-hmm.
your research, you'll
Mm-hmm.
be kicked out.
Okay, right.
So surviving is very difficult. It's
Yes,
tough. So you
yes,
have to
yes,
work hard to
yes.
survive.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But
Yes.
then, but if you survive,
Uh-huh.
then your economic benefit will be pretty good, right?
Okay,
So you
right,
have a huge
right,
salary. But
right.
in Korea now, yeah, I know that,
Korea
yeah,
to
your
get in
salary
is
is,
tough. You
yeah, your
have to
salary
we
is
get in this survive is not the matter.
yeah, so then you don't have enough time on focusing on research, right? Because your salary is too low. And if you want to send your kids to private tutors like a math school or piano
Yes,
classes,
yes,
you
yes,
have to work outside. Need to make extra money, right?
yes, yes.
So then how can you focus on your research if you
No,
need to
no.
do works,
So
okay?
Korea is become a big problem in the near future, and
Yeah,
the university and in Korea and the top tier school is a lack of competency and the lack of the outcomes and the lack of rankings, and
yeah,
the professors not focus on study and research, and
right.
professors they're highly interested in others out of their research focus. So I think it's even though the South Korea we are doing greatly the business and but the academia is is gonna be a big problem. I
Yeah,
assume that the ranking is go down and continually.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
In terms
Yeah.
of the ranking in the
You know,
world.
recently, there is a huge news, right?
Yes.
That the two professors in Seoul econ department, right? They moved to Hong Kong, right? Hong
Uh-huh,
Kong
uh-huh,
University.
uh-huh,
So, I mean, in the past, right? If you can work for SNU, Seoul National University,
uh-huh,
right?
uh-huh,
Then no one thinks that you kind of leave the SNU and work overseas, right?
mhm, mhm,
Because SNU is the best university in South Korea, right?
mhm,
But now, we know the news that two
mhm,
professors in SNU Econ,
mhm.
now they recently moved to Hong Kong, and
Okay.
actually one of the professors, okay,
Mm.
now he is in the same tennis club as me, so quite
Okay.
into tennis right now.
Uh,
So then I met him,
uh,
okay, it's one
uh,
kind of professor who
uh,
just moved from
uh,
SNU to Hong Kong USC.
uh.
So he's in the same tennis club. So I met him. So it's unfortunate, right? I mean, if you are working, you worked for the best university in Korea, but now you think that you need to move to Hong Kong. Yeah. So because
Yes, yes,
you are not
I
well
mhm.
rewarded for
Yes,
your kind of
that's
research.
right. Mm. I totally agree with this days the data-driven outcomes like all data is opened and sharing to everybody so we can see the data analysis of the rankings and the list and the individual scholars how performing well. So that that result is showing transparently to the world. I guess because of the transparency of academia performance, South Korean university are way down and will be a big problem. And probably as time goes by, the South Korean university ranking is way out of the 100, 200. Uh, Vice versa, mainland China, their ranking is is rocketing to the world, to the sky. Even Harvard, Stanford, and the Yale, whatever, the Oxford, the Cambridge, their brand name is not so popular anymore these days. So I think it's research is money. It's money.
Yeah, I mean, we are doing research because we like research, right? But
Uh,
still,
uh,
we want to be rewarded for our research, right? So
uh,
then
uh,
Yeah, so because humans, we act based on our economic incentives.
Yes, right, right. So these days I support usually the full-time students financially, but that financial the money and the scholarship from my own efforts, not the school. That's a big problem. So I usually writing the proposal to the NRF, NRF to receiving the NRF fund, and I support my students going the conference and supporting data collection or things. But it totally depends on individual professors, not school support. That's a big issue. And you know what? But interesting is Korean parents they are highly sensitive to sending their kids to the Korean university. So Korean university is much more networking business rather than performing itself. So whenever I see your research outcomes is so interesting and surprising, and I'm scary. You are already research on our field. So what should I do?
No, every field is now like we are just, I mean, so we are doing lots of interdisciplinary kind of works, right? So
Yes, yes,
yes,
yes.
because yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
areas are kind of overlapped with others.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna stop here. Professor Kim, I'm so appreciate for your participation in this research seminar. I'm learned from a lot about and quite interesting, paper. And probably the student here, they well aware of the top tier level papers, and is definitely is very inspiring us. Thank you very much.